Welcome, Ruth, to the channel.
Hi, David.
Great to have you here. So, to introduce you to anyone who doesn't know who you are, Ruth is the managing director of the Animas Group, responsible for implementing the group's vision, overseeing the day to day running of the business, and developing the systems and processes that enable the business to thrive. Ruth trained as a coach with Animas in 2015 and then joined the team as a mentor in 2018, later becoming the head of mentoring and then head of operations before finally becoming MD in 2022. She qualified as a coaching supervisor in 2020 through Animas's sister school, the ICCS, and outside of Animas, Ruth runs her own coaching supervision, and mentoring practice. Now, I couldn't miss the opportunity to call out that Ruth is, in fact, my line manager and is an awesome one at that. Coaching is embedded into Ruth's leadership style, and she is extremely supportive to all of us who are behind the green curtain here at Animas. So, Ruth, it's great to have you here, and I'd like to start by focusing today's conversation on our Animas business partnerships. So, before we do that, before we get into partnerships, can you tell me a little more about your journey with Animas and how you got to where you are today?
Yeah, thanks, David, for that epic introduction. And yeah, I mean, I was talking to Nick earlier and reflecting on the fact that it is almost a decade that I've been part of Animas in some way. So it was spring 2015 where I came to an ITC, decided to train, and I've kind of been here ever since. And and it was never my intention to become part of the team in the way I am now and, to be sort of Nick's second in command. But here we are. It just shows you never know what's coming up. But yeah, my journey was previously I was working in health and social care and was looking for a career change, and coaching was something that really appealed to me. I actually looked at counselling before I looked at coaching, and then just that wasn't the thing. And found my way to Animas. I was very involved with the community. I was co-hosting some of the training after I qualified. That led to the role as a mentor, which was absolutely amazing. There are lots of people in the community that I still see around, and they'll say, "Yeah, because I remember you were my mentor when I did the course." So it's really lovely to still see those people connected through the community and to reconnect with them. And yeah, and then just, opportunities have come up over the past few years, and yeah, here we are.
And other than getting to manage me, what's the best thing about being MD?
What's the best thing? I probably should say that it's working with Nick so closely, and that wouldn't be a lie, because just the way Nick works with me, he's such a true visionary, which I'm not. And we often talk about having the visionary integrator relationship and how we work together. And Nick is such an incredible visionary, and that's where I'm lacking. But I'm definitely more of the integrator. So sometimes he'll say I'm his, but things make it happener, is what he says, and I really enjoy that. And what I particularly love since my role has expanded to being the MD is to get to know all of the different parts of the business. From marketing, enrollments, finance, the training, the learning experience, all of those different parts of the business and how they all fit together. And I think it's that how they all fit together is the bit that just is such a good fit for me. But I really enjoy that sort of, I just call it fingers in all the pies type of thing that's going on. But yeah, so I really enjoy having that, all the way across the business and seeing how it all works.
Thanks, Ruth. So I know you're considered part of the furniture here at Animas.
Yeah, I don't know if that's a good thing or not.
Definitely have an awareness of everything that's going on, if not are involved with an awful lot of it and all of the magic that happens behind the curtain. Um, and the glue that holds it all together, you've been referred to as well. Uh, no pressure. um, so, in terms of Nick's vision that you mentioned for the business, where do Animas's business partnerships fit within the vision for the business?
Yeah, it's a good question. So I think partnerships are part of our as a wider mission to help coaching reach people that it wouldn't necessarily reach otherwise. So shaping the profession and enabling access to coaching, but at the same time, it supports the coaches through their professional lives as well. I mean, you've trained as a coach, and you know it can be, for some people, not for everyone, it can be tricky to get started, to build your confidence, to get clients, to really get the experience and the breadth of experience as well, you know, beyond your own typical network and the clients that you get to meet. So it kind of fulfills those two streams, I suppose, is one of, you know, coaching, being out there and giving people access to coaching and just building people's awareness of what coaching is and how it might be something I want to engage with. But at the same time, it's supporting those coaches as they're venturing out into the coaching world to build their skills and their experience and just meet clients that they maybe wouldn't have otherwise met.
I know as an Animas graduate, at first it can be really difficult just finding organisations to get involved with, clients to coach, and perhaps wanting to consider doing some voluntary coaching for an organisation, but just Google voluntary coaching opportunities, and there's tens of thousands of results, and just thinking, well, where do I start? How do I know which one's going to be right for me, and that's also going to help me along in my coaching journey? And it is just a bit of a minefield. Um, so
Yeah, and I think you interviewed Tracy, didn't you, a few weeks ago, who works at Futures, and I think she talked in that interview about how the volunteering side of coaching as a volunteer can lead to so many other things that you perhaps didn't expect, whether that's just in your own confidence or just having that experience to add on to your CV or the network that you build through doing that. So, you know, there's the reality of we want to earn a living as coaches, but at the same time, there are so many hidden gems to be found in coaching as a volunteer. And we often find that people are looking for some way of giving back, of making a difference, being involved in a social impact project. So, you know, that's a really good outcome as well.
And the great thing with Tracy, and then more recently Zoe Bishop, who I also interviewed for the channel, they both went into working as volunteer coaches for organisations, charitable organisations, and then ended up unintentionally with paid roles at those charities. As you know, they were able to be in the right place at the right time, and they built that relationship with the organisation, and it was much easier for them to make the leap from a volunteer to being on the payroll, rather than not, the organisation having no awareness of who they are.
Yeah, yeah, it's amazing. I mean, you know, we were talking earlier about how I started out as a student and then a mentor and then eventually to the MD, and you never know where these things might lead over time. And but even without that, I think the benefits of coaching and as a volunteer can get you so much experience. And also, I mean, we'll talk a bit more about the specific partnerships in a moment, but some of them are very, very niche in what they're looking for that you perhaps wouldn't have thought to Google and search for this particular thing. So, and I enjoy that as well. That some of them are just really unique. And but yeah, we'll talk about those a bit more in a minute.
Yeah, yeah. Let's do it. So, what do we mean by a business partnership? Um, and um, who who are we partnered with at the moment? How many of them have we got?
Yeah, it varies, and often that's because some of the partners we work with will work with cohorts or seasonally, or they'll have a program that they're looking for coaches for. So, you know, it's not that an organization that we partner with are always recruiting coaches. You know, they are quite often they go in these waves. And but I think there's a few I would say that stand out, not in terms of the name of the organization, but the type of partnership that they are. So first of all, there's the sort of pro bono coaching. It might be with a charity or a similar organization where they're recruiting coaches for a program. And now some examples of that would be Yes Futures, who we've already talked about with Tracy. And we've had quite a long time partnership with them. They look for volunteer coaches who will join their program and work with young people in schools. So Yes Futures work with schools, but it's the young people that receive the coaching. During the pandemic, they also ran a program with us to bring coaching to teachers during that, really difficult time to be a teacher and trying to teach from home and all of these things that were going on. So, and some absolutely fantastic Animas volunteers worked with the teachers and during that time, but we also have this arrangement with Yes Futures, which, they're just recruiting now for their spring 2025 cohort of coaches. So that wasn't very much a cohort basis. Then we have others. So Unrest is an organisation that we worked with where they have a program for leaders of social impact businesses. And the coaching is part of their offering to those leaders. So they could take them through various elements of a program as they're building their social impact businesses. And then coaching is one part of that. And they recruited those coaches from the Animas community. So you've got those sort of, almost like there's a program that we enroll into and it's seasonal or whatever that might be. And then there are some that are sort of ongoing, again, with this sort of charitable ones. We work with Wilfred's House. And actually, Sophie from Wilfred's House was on my Animas cohort in 2015. So often people are never far away from Animas. So they were offering counselling to people that may otherwise not be able to access it. And they wanted to add coaching as a service as well. So again, they were looking for coaches. They recruit from the Animas community because Sophie's an Animas coach herself and she understands the quality and the depth that Animas coaches capable of working at. So you have those sort of charitable partnerships that happen from time to time or will happen consistently, but it's at a cohort. And so that's one type. Another is perhaps a more recent one. We work with Ella's Kitchen, who are quite well known in the UK as a food brand, sort of baby and toddler food, I think it is. I don't know if I've described them properly there. But Ella's Kitchen, the HR director at the time, again, is another Animas coach who trained with us a few years ago. And she was coaching as an internal coach within Ella's Kitchen in her role as HR director. But she couldn't coach everybody. And she wanted to create some sort of a coaching program. And she also remembered herself from having gone through the Animas course that people are training, they want to build up their experience hours. So they've done the training, they're sort of learning how to coach and how to be a coach, but they've not yet got the experience hours. And so that was sort of a two-way partnership really, in that it helps the coaches to build up their experience hours and Ella's Kitchen employees will receive coaching. And we've done that in a way that the employees get to choose their coach. So we don't do any matching in those situations. It felt really important that the coaches the coachees choose who they want to work with. And that brings another layer of experience for the coaches as well, because I don't know about you, but I found having discovery calls was a huge learning curve in itself. You can learn how to coach and how to show up and how to have the sessions, but learning how to have good discovery calls or even create a good profile for yourself, it's another part of the learning, isn't it? So the coaches create their profile, they have the discovery calls as they would with any client. So they're learning from that side of it as well. And then those are six session coaching relationships. And then we run another round of that later in the year. I think we do 3 rounds a year with Ella's Kitchen, which again, it is great. It's bringing coaching to their employees. The feedback that we see, it's absolutely fantastic that the benefits people have had from working with those coaches, it's absolutely brilliant. And, it's in the workplace, but they bring anything to the coaching. So it's really working with people on many, many levels. And actually, Catherine, who's the HR director, was HR director at Ella's, has now moved to another organisation. And we've just started, or we're in the process of starting up the same same system really in her new organisation as well. So a bit of a mixture there. You know, you've got the organisations that want to coach with their employees. You've got the charities that are running programs and they're looking for coaches to volunteer on those programs. And then there's one other that I talk about, and then I'll stop for a moment. Uh, And these are the ones where, you know, sort of associate coaching organizations might be looking for something very, very specific. So Unmind is an organization that we work with not very often, but it's often when they're looking for something in particular. So Steve, who's the co-founder of Unmind, um, is also an Animas coach. So there's a theme going on here. But sometimes they're looking for something very, very particular for their client. So there was one that I remember they were looking for French-speaking coaches. So we're going, "Oh, who's a French-speaking coach in our community that might want to apply to Unmind?" So this is less of a partnership where we're running a program together. It's just that they're looking for something very specific, and they know that Animas could be a really good place to find those coaches. They were looking for some coaches based in Australia at one point, and again, they come to the Animas community. So, yeah, really, really varied, which I like. Um, yeah, I mean, what I'd love to have is this constant funnel of, you know, coaches going to coachees and all of that, and I'd love to build it up to that. But at the moment, we've got some really interesting and varied partnerships, and yeah.
Wow, thank you, Ruth. Wow, for that comprehensive tour of what we've got going on. Obviously, so we've got the charities, and then organisations, and then also associate coaching opportunities there for people to pick from. And it feels like it's a triple win in that the organisations are getting the benefit of our coaches, and that they know what they're getting. You know, highly trained, skilled, and accredited coaches that have been through our programs, and then the um, the coaches themselves are getting the opportunities to work with these organizations where they're hand-picked organizations. The relationship between Animas and them exists, and they are able to perhaps go in and not have to talk about what coaching is and how it works. Because I personally find that even harder than coaching itself, defining what I do and how I do it to people who aren't in the coaching world. Some days it feels impossible, especially at networking events, and how to differentiate yourself from every other coach out there. That's really difficult. And then it feels like it's also a third level of win for the clients who get the value of our coaches through these organizations. So it sounds fantastic. If there are organizations listening, what sort of organization would we be looking for new partnerships, and how does the process work of like onboarding another organization and them becoming a partner of Animas?
Yeah, it's a good question. So that's a few questions in there. Which one do you want me to go for first?
I mean, if I'm a new organization thinking of that might there be something in it, how would I know that a partnership might be the right thing?
Yeah, okay. So, one thing we're very fortunate to have is an absolutely fantastic and very engaged community. And and I know that you'd spoken to lots of Animas coaches over the past few months in these interviews. And, you know, we have an incredible community who are very interested in social impact projects or gaining new experiences or coaching in a different place or a different niche that they've not worked in before. So one thing that we're not short of is coaches who are open to opportunities. And no, it will depend. I mean, some opportunities require more of a commitment than people have the spare time to give, which is okay. And but as an organization, if you're looking and saying, I would love to have coaching for my team. We don't have an internal coach, but I would love to have give people the opportunity to receive coaching. Then I'd absolutely get in touch because that's something that we can definitely facilitate from our community. And for charities and other sort of social impact organizations, again, we know that people love to take part in these projects, and Yes Futures is always very well subscribed with Animas coaches. And so again, with charities, organizations that are looking for some sort of social impact coaching, again, get in touch because there is most likely something that we can do together.
Mm. And is it something that organizations, have to pay for the honor of working with Animas and be associated with us, or is it more of a mutual engagement?
It varies actually. So the social impact projects, the coaches are volunteering their time, and we don't charge anything as Animus for facilitating the arrangements or anything like that. And some of the organizations pay the coaches. So it might be a paid offering of coaching. And if it's associate coaching or something like that, they'll have a set fee that they're able to pay the coaches. And if that resonates with the coaches that are applying, then that's great. So, but we don't charge anything at Animus for them being a partner or for facilitating the coaching arrangement. I'd also say don't worry about how niche it is as well. And so we worked with a fantastic organization called Info Latinos. And again, one of the partners is an Animus coach. And they work with people who have come over from Latin America to the UK and want to establish themselves, rebuild their career in the UK and find a community and all of that kind of thing. And so they were recruiting for Spanish speaking coaches to work as part of their program. And I think it was more mentoring than coaching. But again, that doesn't matter because so many of those skills overlap or are similar. And but yeah, so I would say don't even worry about how niche it might be because you never know who's there that's looking just for that kind of opportunity.
And I get that. Thanks, Ruth. And I get the impression. I know the answer to my next question, which is going to be just: are there any sort of minimum requirements or any quotas for if I'm just a small organization and I'm just looking for a handful of coaches a year to be involved with, would I be too small and then not eligible? Equally, could I be too big and looking for too many? Or is it that isn't the case?
I've not found that to be the case. So sometimes there have been people that are looking just for a few coaches and that's fine. That's absolutely fine. It's sometimes people are looking to recruit as on an ongoing basis. And again, absolutely fine. We've got this fantastic community that are very open to projects. And I should probably mention More Happy as well, who I've not mentioned yet. And there's a lot of Animas coaches work with More Happy. And this is an organization where they provide, I'm going to say leadership coaching, but it might not always be with leaders, but I think that's often who the clients are in some quite significant organizations. And the coaches will become part of their coaching community. They are placed with clients in these various organizations. So they're getting to work with often senior leaders at very large, well-known organizations, which as an independent coach, if you or I were to do that as an independent coach, it's not easy to get into that world unless you already have a way in. And so, you're working with some very high level clients, getting some incredible experience. And if you want to become a leadership coach or an executive coach specifically, this is really building up your experience and your credibility, I suppose, in that area. But what More Happy also provide is various training opportunities throughout the year. They provide supervision, and a lot of support. So the coaches are getting this fantastic experience, but they're also getting a whole support structure to help them continue developing as a coach around it. And More Happy have been very successful in doing that. So, there's a lot out there, and It's just having the connection to it, and I think at Animas we can provide that because there is such a fantastic reputation, and the amount of people that I talk to that will mention somebody that, "Oh, I met somebody that's an Animas coach," or, "My coach was an Animas coach, so I know that they're that the quality is really good in the training and that you've got fantastic coaches in your community." And so the reputation of Animas coaches almost does the job for us of getting people interested in having those partnerships.
Our reputation speaks for itself.
Yeah, and not just our reputation as a school, but, of the coaches, of the community as well.
Mm. Kind of the accreditation of the course by all three bodies. I wanted to ask you if prospective coaches or Animas coaches would want to find out more about the partnerships that we've got, where can they find that information? And equally, where can prospective partners find information and get in touch and contact us?
Yeah, for sure. So we have got a page on our website which talks about some of our recent partnerships. And so, you can have a look at that and see who we've worked with and who we continue to work with. Uh, when it comes to opportunities, we tend to email the community. So that's how we advertise them. And that's often because sometimes it's a very specific group of coaches that people we're looking for. So Yes Futures, for example, will work with coaches who are not yet qualified. You don't have to be a qualified coach. You don't even have to have finished the training because they have their own program that they will put you through if you join them. And but some organizations only want to work with qualified coaches. So, we would only email the qualified coaches at that point. And there are some, particularly the associate coaching organizations, that want coaches who are individually credentialed as well. So with an ACC or whatever that might be. So we tend to email whichever segment it might be of interest to, or, when we look at how many coaches are this particular partnership looking for, if they only want 10 coaches, obviously I'm not going to send that out to the whole community. So the short answer to your question is we email you if there are opportunities that might be of interest.
Mm, yeah. And I think we have a dedicated partnerships mailbox as well for prospective partners to get involved, to get in touch.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's also on that partnerships page on the website. But yeah, anybody that's interested in exploring a partnership opportunity, then partnerships@animascoaching.com is the email address. And then we can, explore what might be possible.
It feels it's really interesting to know. I wasn't aware that we have the ability to target certain types of coaches at certain points in their journey. If an organization is coming and looking for something really specific and niche.
Yeah, yeah. And then sometimes I don't know, when Unmind wanted Australia-based coaches. So I don't know. I have no idea. It might be that people trained with us and were in London at the time or were in the UK and have now relocated to Australia. It's always surprising how far and wide the Animus community reach, beyond where they might have been when they trained with us. And yeah, incredible community. Very, very diverse and vibrant, I will say.
I know that one of our partners have a preference for people that are trained in coaching with us, but they've come from an IT background. So I'm patiently waiting for that email chain to hit my inbox.
Yeah, I know the one you mean actually. Yeah, yeah, exactly. And there's somebody doing incredible work with job seekers in Germany. So you're not in Germany, so this wouldn't probably would apply to you. But they're working with job seekers in the technology centre, based in Germany. So that some of these are so niche and interesting, rather than just more general coaching. It's fascinating who comes to us and what they might want to work on. And I'd say the other part of that, I mean, you mentioned the Animus group at the beginning of this, and we've very much been talking about the Animus partnerships. But as you know, we have a supervision school as well. And with Wilfred's House, for example, we've actually found volunteer supervisors from the ICCS community who have supported the coaches on the Wilfred House program. So it's not just coaching, sometimes these supervision opportunities come up as well. And I think with that one in particular, having worked with counselors and therapists, they really understand the importance of supervision, because it's not older. I suppose, yeah, it's older in counseling and therapy to have supervision. It's more long established, but it's still quite new in coaching, really, supervision. And but they understand actually it's really important that we're going to provide supervision for these coaches. So they've recruited from our ICCS community as well. So it does extend beyond Animus as well sometimes.
Mm. Into the coaches supervisors, which of course enable you to maintain the high quality of coaching and directly enables coaches to grow and develop through having supervision.
Yeah, and I think it just shows you as well, thinking of, well, the Animus community, but also the ICCS community, that, in order to do our supervision course, you need to be a highly experienced coach. And many of our supervision students doesn't sound like the right word. Let's say participants are PCC or MCC coaches with the ICF. So they're very highly experienced coaches. Yet still, even at that level of their career, still open to these pro bono opportunities to work with these interesting projects to have an impact beyond their paid role of coaching or supervision. So I think there is definitely something about coaching that attracts people who are looking for this purposeful, impactful work, as well as, this is a career.
And I would add, for all the people I've had the pleasure of interviewing through my role at Animas, all the really experienced coaches from all sorts of backgrounds and all different niches, it's really hard to think of one who wasn't involved in some way in some voluntary coaching of some sort, as it seems to be a theme throughout coaching the coaching world, that part of our portfolio and part of what we do, even just a small part of it, is for free and is, for a charity or charitable cause.
Yeah. Yeah, it's incredible, isn't it? And, it enables coaching to reach people that will benefit from it, but perhaps wouldn't have had access to it in other circumstances. But it also, I mean, we live and breathe coaching, you and I. So we're very aware of what coaching is and what it does. But there are still a lot of people that have no idea what coaching is or how it might be useful to them. I think we're a little bit blinded by being in the coaching world. It becomes normal, doesn't it? That coaching is a thing. There are still lots of people that aren't really aware of coaching, don't know how it would help them, don't really understand what that might be for. And so by these projects providing coaching to people that perhaps didn't really understand what it was all about before, more people are seeing the value of coaching. So it benefits the profession as well. It benefits the reputation of coaching. It helps people that maybe weren't connected with it before to understand a bit more about coaching. And who knows where in the future they may be seeking out their own coach, may want to become a coach. So I just think it really expands the awareness of coaching as well as the impact of coaching.
As well as being, voluntary coaching, just being a really good thing to do, and making coaching more accessible to perhaps people in groups that can't afford it, or like coaching young people in schools who don't have the ability to pay for coaching yet.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's nice actually to see organizations working with schools. So I was contacted by another organization recently that work with young people in schools, and yeah, incredible work that they're already doing with their small group of volunteer coaches. And it's great to see that uptake of coaching with young people. I mean, I went to school a lot longer ago than you did, but it just would never have been a thing when I was at school. There was no way that you would have had these people coming in to help you develop and to give you the agency and the ownership over that as well in the way that coaching does. or even mentoring. It just wouldn't have existed when I was at school. I don't know about your experience.
No, exactly. It's just the same. But I know someone who has her daughters in a school locally, and they have a coach that liaises with the parents directly, and then liaises with the teachers, so that the parents themselves don't communicate directly with the teachers. And it's coaching is embedded in the way this school is run. It's really unconventional and really modern. But the my friend who's a parent of someone who's in that school, she says it's the best thing since sliced bread. It's so powerful. It's so easy to just coordinate with one dedicated, designated person who is, who has her daughter's interest at heart, and then is able to speak to the teachers, separately if there are any issues that crop up, and she's a huge advocate of it. So it's clearly working its way into the education sector as well.
Yeah, for sure it is. And it's also having somebody that sits outside of the system, that you've got this part of that relationship, but slightly sits outside of it as well, because the school have got things that they need to achieve. And, there's a lot of pressure on schools and on teachers, as we know. And then parents are kind of balance everything in the life that's going on as well. And so having another person that can just have those different types of conversations, either between the school and the parents, or the young person and the school, it's just amazing to have that extra person in there that can facilitate a different type of conversation.
Mm. Well, it's been great to have a different type of conversation with you today, Ruth, for the channel, and it's been wonderful to hear about what's going on at the border of Animas between different organisations with our partnerships, of all their different types and sizes and styles. And I hope that anyone listening, that is interested in finding out more will get more information that they're looking for from our partnerships page, and maybe even a few more organisations and charities will reach out about opportunities, to partner with Animas.
Yeah, I would definitely like that. I'd love to have a lot more organizations that we can have partnerships with to just broaden the reach of coaching and create opportunities for the Animus community, but also create opportunities for people to receive really good coaching, because we know that the impact that it can have.
And if nothing else, I hope they reach out to have a conversation with you, as there are other opportunities they may not have discovered, or considered yet. As I know that you are very very well connected in the coaching community in general. So yeah, watch this space and get in touch. But thank you so much for your time today, Ruth. It's been a pleasure. The time has ran away with us as usual.
Yeah, it always does that.
Be wonderful to have you on the channel again and find out a bit more about your coaching journey.
Like coaching and supervision journey. Yeah, absolutely. Let's do that. All right. Thanks so much, David. It's been a pleasure to be interviewed by you today.
Likewise, the pleasure was all mine.
All right. Take care.